Shalom. I'd like to start out by giving all glory, praise, and honor to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham, Rakach Wadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of the Great Millstone, and Shalom to the elect of Israel. This is the Mayim in Atlanta, and I've got this article pulled up. It's from tomorrowsworld.org. Came out in 2006, and it says how the Romans united Europe then and now. And the point of this lesson is to go into how America and the West, basically NATO and the EU, make up the reincarnation of Rome, or the beast, which Rome would be the last beast, last empire to rule prophetically. And we all know that Rome fell, but it rose back again into what's now known as America and as NATO and the EU, these European nations. And so I'm not going to go through the whole article, but we're going to pick up right down here where it speaks of Boris Johnson. And so it says, British journalist Boris Johnson noted, when did the continent of Europe last have one mind, one will, one government? Not since the fall of the Roman Empire. And he quotes that from The Dream of Rome on pages 30 and 31. It says, indeed, the use of Roman methods to create a unified Europe has not gone unnoticed, Johnson wrote. In many ways, the European Union, or the EU, can be seen as the inheritor of the Roman Empire, an attempt to unite the vast and disparate territory in the way that the Romans did. It is that memory of a peaceful and united continent, which Rome was not peaceful at all, don't know what he's talking about, that is so appealing, and that is why the latest and most ingenious attempt to rebuild the Roman Empire should have begun in the Eternal City. And it says, going back up to the top where it says, when did the continent of Europe last have one mind, one will, one government? Not since the fall of Rome. So we're going to go and get a quick scripture here in Revelation 17 and verse 13. Actually, we're going to start at verse 12. And it says, and the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings. These go into the vassal states of Rome and into the new Rome as well. It says, which have received no kingdom as yet, but received power as kings 1 hour with the beast. These have one mind, and shall give their power and strength unto the beast. And so they're taking a back seat, not leading, and giving their power and their resources over to this greater power structure, which makes up the beast, or the reincarnation of Rome. So he says, when did the continent of Europe last have one mind, one will, one government? Not since Rome. Well, that happened again when the beast was reborn or rebirthed. Revelation 17 and 13 again, these have one mind and shall give their power and strength unto the beast. Just thought that was interesting, because that is exactly what they have done again. And then moving down, because he's saying that the Roman Empire has been rebuilt. This Belgian politician Paul-Henri Spaak was one of the founding fathers of the modern effort to unite Europe to this new Rome, commenting on how it felt to sign the Treaty of Rome in 1957. He observed, we felt like Romans on that day. We were consciously recreating the Roman Empire once more, the signature of this from the Signature of God by Jeffrey on page 191. says few today realize that the prophet Daniel predicted these developments more than 2,500 years ago. And he did. Daniel, in Daniel, it has basically a biblical timeline, which is what I call it, because it's going through the empires that would exist until the Gentile empires or heathen empires that would exist until Yahushua comes back. And so in Daniel 2, it goes into the dream that Nebuchadnezzar had, showing the statue, where it starts with the head of gold, which makes up the Assyro-Babylonian Empire, and then the chest of silver, which makes up the Medo-Persians, and then the skirt of brass or bronze, which makes up the Greek Empire, and then the legs of iron, which is the Roman Empire, which is the fourth beast. And then you have the feet, which are miry clay and iron, which makes up NATO and the EU, or the revival of Rome, which is what we are currently in. And those people were even saying we felt like Romans that day, and they were consciously trying to recreate Rome, in which they did, and it's prophetic. But this is Daniel 7, and we're going to start at verse 7. And this went through the same empires, but they were described as bears. First as a lion, the second as a bear. One second. Salakia had to put on Do Not Disturb. But the empires again in Daniel 7 describes them as beasts. The first being a lion, the second is a bear, the lion being the Assyro-Babylonians, the bear being the Medo-Persians, the leopard being the Greeks, and then down here Daniel 7:7, this is the Roman Empire. After this I saw in the night visions, and behold, a fourth beast, dreadful and terrible and strong exceedingly, and it had great iron teeth. So it got its power, which teeth go into power, from the iron, in which Rome was able to rise and conquer so much through iron weaponry. And so you see the iron mentioned. And even in Daniel 2, you see the legs of iron. It devoured and brake in pieces and stamped the residue with the feet of it. And so they conquered and took land, and they were able to overcome the previous empires. And it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. That diversity comes from them not having a king, and they had a senate, in which today's government here in America, you have a senate, showing another connection to them being of Rome. And he speaks of this in 2nd Maccabees, and those 10 horns going into the vassal states, which we just read in Revelation 17, how they had one mind and gave their power over to the beast, just like in Rome. It says, I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn, this being America. And the horn goes into power as well, before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots. Those first horns going into Spain, France, and Great Britain. And look at America, and you see that that's where America came from. You had the Spanish with their conquistadors. You have Spanish remnants left here. You have the French, which had a large portion of land. That's how the Louisiana Purchase came from, purchasing land from the French. And they had a lot of fur traders here within America. And so you also even have the French Quarter in New Orleans. The French made their mark on America, and then as well as the British. You have New York, and we speak English. America came out of these first 3 horns. And it says, and behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of man, and a mouth speaking great things, because they are so incredibly proud. And they've spoken lots of blasphemy against the children of the Lord, the Israelites, the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, and just pride in general. You have the phrase is "I'm proud to be an American" because pride compasses them. It's all dripped all over them. They're the most proud, as described in Jeremiah 50 or 51. It says, "I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit, whose garment was white as snow, and the hair of his head like the pure wool of a Negro. His throne was like the fiery flame, and his wheels as burning fire," because it's through this last beast, this last heathen kingdom that would exist, that the Lord would come back and set up his kingdom. But this is the last one, and we're seeing their downfall, and they're going to fall again because Rome fell once, and it's going to fall one more time, or a second time. This is Malachi 1, and we'll start off at 2. "I have loved you, saith the Lord, Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai. Yet ye say, wherein hast thou loved us?" Because, we've been in a terrible and difficult situation, being under these curses of the Lord. It says, was not Esau Jacob's brother? And Esau, the Edomites, they ran Rome, they ran Greece, they ran Rome, and they run the reincarnation of Rome, which is America and NATO and the EU, this last beast. And the Edomites being so-called white people, including those small hatters that call themselves the Lord's people. They're not the Lord's people. Those are Edomites. And this is what the Lord thinks of Edomites. It says, "Was not Esau Jacob's brother, saith the Lord? Yet I loved Jacob." And so they've been in this privileged position for a very long time, but the Lord doesn't love them. Isaiah 26, and I think 10, correct me if I'm wrong, says, "Show favor unto the wicked, yet in the land of opportunity will he not learn righteousness." And you see, they have taken the Lord's land over there in the land of Israel, and they're doing all sorts of wickedness. They have Pink City over there, and they eat kosher pork, and they have been blessed. And so people just assume that since they're in this blessed position, that the Lord actually loves them. But here's what he says about Esau. "And I hated Esau." So he hates them, every last one of them. Every single one of them that comes through their fathers from the seed of Esau, he hates them. And it says, "And laid his mountains and his heritage waste for the dragons of the wilderness." That is Rome falling. It's laid waste. It says, "Whereas Edom," so-called white people and these small hatters, "saith, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. Thus saith the Lord, Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, of hosts. They shall build, but I will throw down." And so they have built back up. They've built their city again, Rome. They've built that back up, and it's in the form of America and NATO and the EU. It says, "They shall build, but I will throw down, and they shall call them the border of wickedness." And so this place is destined to fall because they built it. "And the people against whom the Lord hath indignation," so righteous anger, is correct for him to be angry with them, for him to hate them forever. So it's the people. It's not just Esau. It's not just Edom himself. It's all of his progeny that the Lord hates, because Esau will try to pretend like it's just Esau. Like the Edomites will try to pretend that it's just the man himself that he hates. But it's all of them. It's how they think, how they move, how they steal and kill and destroy. This is Revelation 13 and verse 3. "And I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death." This is Rome falling. "And his deadly wound was healed." Rome fell, and then with the Renaissance or rebirth, the Edomites came out and rebuilt, just like they said they would in Malachi 1 and 4. and his deadly wound was healed. This is the beast who fell and rose back up again and was reincarnated. That's just Rome all over again. And all the world wandered after the beast. Going back to this article, Belgian politician Paul-Henri Spaak was one of the founding fathers of the modern effort to unite Europe, commenting on how it felt to sign the Treaty of Rome in 1957. That deadly wound was healed. And he says, he observed, we felt like Romans on that day. We were consciously recreating the Roman Empire once more. They shall build, which they built, and the Lord's about to throw down. They're going to get thrown down. And it's really, they eat themselves because the beast starts to hate the whore. The beast, which is, as we've gone through, the makeup of NATO and the EU, these vassal states, and the whore is America that rides or controls that beast. And it says, and the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, or Revelation 17 and 16, and the 10 horns, the vassal states, these European nations, which thou sawest upon the beast, being that whole power structure, these shall hate the whore. They're going to hate America. And you can see them beginning to, because America destroyed their pipeline, which gets them energy. America is trying to impose tariffs on them, and they're trying to impose tariffs back. And they hate each other. They're starting to hate each other, and it's going to only increase. And this goes into that division. How can, if a kingdom be divided against itself, how can that kingdom stand? This Edomite kingdom. And if Satan divides against Satan, how can he stand? These are the children of Satan, and they're dividing up. It says, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh, and burn her with fire. So they're going to eat them, their own selves. They're going to eat their empire. It's not going to be able to stand. Just getting into this last little bit, because this whole chapter of 2nd Ezra is going through the Edomites and their leadership when they had power in Rome, in the original Rome. 2nd Ezra 11 and 39. Art not thou it that remainest of the 4 beasts whom I made to reign in my world? Those 4 empires, those 4 heathen empires that would exist until Yahushua returned and set up his kingdom. It says that the end of their times might come through them. So it's not the original Rome, it's the reincarnated Rome that the end is going to come through. And the 4th came and overcame all the beasts that were past, so over the Assyro-Babylonians, over the Medo-Persians, over the Greeks, and some call it the Greco-Roman Empire, and then all the way to what we have now. He overcame all the other beasts. And it says, and had power over the world with great fearfulness. And originally they had power in this old Roman Empire over the known world at that time, but Esau was promised the fatness of the earth. And so once the 4th part of the earth over here in the Americas was discovered, Esau took that and fulfilling prophecy of having control of the fatness or the best parts of the earth. And so this is going to happen now. So it says, and had power over the world with great fearfulness, and over the whole compass of the earth, which with much wicked oppression, because that's how they rule, through their blessing, which is the sword, which shows they're going to rule violently and oppressively. And so in so long time dwelt he upon the earth with deceit, because everything they've done has been a lie. And those lies are being revealed. And it's just corruption and lies. For the earth hast thou not judged with truth? Because you have the scriptures and could put on the law, statutes, and commandments, but you come up with your own constitution and your own laws, which always conflict or are adverse to the Lord's laws. It says, for thou hast afflicted the meek, you've afflicted the Israelites completely, thou hast hurt the peaceable. When they came over here, God tried to help them, but they put them to the sword. Thou hast loved liars, and all of your history is a lie, and you boost up liars, and destroyed the dwellings of them that brought forth fruit, and hast cast down the walls of such as did thee no harm. They've destroyed everything, especially with the Israelites. It says, therefore is thy wrongful dealing come up unto the highest, and thy pride unto the mighty. Babylon's sins have reached up to heaven, which America is called Babylon in the scriptures, and Egypt and Sodom, and it's also the reincarnation of Rome. But yeah, these sins, which are transgression of the law, which you're under the law now because you've put it into yourself and changed all the pictures and everything to represent yourself. So you're under the law and you're going to be judged by the law. And you've broken all the laws. And this is reached up to the Lord. Verse 44, the highest also hath looked upon the proud times, the most proud. And Daniel 7, we saw that pride in there. And behold, they are ended, and his abominations are fulfilled. So your usefulness has ceased. So you got to get put away. And it says, and therefore appear now no more, thou eagle, which that's code word for the Edomites. Swift as the eagle flieth. Look at their emblems from Rome to America to Germany and different countries within NATO and the EU. They use the eagle. Nor thy horrible wings, nor thy wicked feathers, nor thy malicious heads, nor thy hurtful claws, nor all thy vain body. It's all for nothing. And their leadership has been, especially the elite in these times, they have really led the world into destruction. It says that all the earth may be refreshed and may return, being delivered from thy violence, that she may hope for the judgment and mercy of him that made her. It says that all the earth may be refreshed, and that is exactly what we are waiting for a refreshed, a new earth, new heaven, and new earth. Once this wicked rulership that has polluted the earth, polluted the minds of the people on the earth, and just destroyed. They're nothing but destruction. This is Revelation 21 and verse 1. And I saw a new heaven and a new earth. You go into that word, it's kainos, goes into refreshing. And that's what we are looking for a refreshing. For the first heaven and the first earth were passed away. This current age is about to disappear. It's age of Esau, Edom. And it says, 2nd Ezra 6 and 9, that Esau is the end of the world and Jacob is the beginning of it that follows. And it says, and there was no more sea. These people and their power is going to disappear completely. We want that refreshing. We want the return of Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai and this new kingdom that is promised, and the rulership, and the vengeance, the judgment that is to come, which is going to set everything aright, because these people need to be judged for the way they've ruled. And so, Lord willing, that was edifying. This is the reincarnation of Rome. And I'd like to give all glory, praise, and honor to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham Quadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of the great millstone. Shalom to the elect of Israel. Shalom.